The following program is underwritten in part by Viagen Pets, the leading provider of animal genetic preservation and cloning services. Preserve the genes of your dog or cat to extend the special bond you share with them. Get your free information kit and special offer for Animal Radio listeners at www.viagenpets.com. That's VIAGEN Pets.com.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Wow, just another incredible show here today on Animal Radio. I hope we have enough time for all of this. I think you've overbooked once again.
Whoops.
Whoops. We're going to be talking to Ric O'Barry. He was the trainer of Flipper. Remember Flipper?
Oh, yes.
They call him Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning. No one you see is smarter than he.
Flipper was so...
Flipper.
Very sorry. So well. We have one talented vet here, let me tell you that. Flipper and, of course, Bewitched. Bewitched I watched until Darren changed. When they changed to Darren, I was upset.
Yeah, that was odd.
That was very odd. But to see this dolphin do so many things, so many tricks, and just be so well behaved was incredible at that time. But Ric O'Barry, who's the trainer of dolphins and Flipper, has changed his tune, and he's actually a very anti-training type of guy right now. He's trying to release dolphins that are under trained situations in captivity right now, and we'll talk to him in just a few minutes. He's got to be, how old has he got to be?
I don't know.
Probably in his 70s, I would
Probably.
guess.
Still very active, I understand. You know better, don't you?
I follow him. I admire the man and what he does.
Well, we'll talk to him.
I think if you have a passion like that, you follow it, and he's really done that for animals in captivity, but especially dolphins. And it's not just dolphins in captivity. It's the way that those dolphins are taken captive. And like he said, he used to, he's been a part of those dolphin drives, and now he goes out and he wasn't a part of like the Japanese Taiji dolphin drives, but that is where they actually go out and capture the dolphins, and in unspeakable ways, and in all aspects of saving dolphins and advocating for them and speaking for them if you can. That's what he's doing. But it's that cruelty that is just unfathomable that he has taken on as well.
Well, I'm intrigued by the fact that this is a guy who's made a career and made his millions training dolphins, and how he's changed his tunes. Mm-hmm. So we'll find out what that's all about in just a couple of minutes right here on Animal Radio. Also, Robert Semro with the back-to-school blues for pets. Yes, your pets can get the blues when the kids go back to school.
I know.
And this is a big deal, and
Yes,
Robert's going to be talking about it in just a few minutes. We're also having a guy who cooks for animals. He has the pet restaurant, Marc Ching, and he's going to hopefully tell us how to get Ladybug, the studio stunt dog, to lose a little bit of weight. Dr. Debbie's been on our case about this for the last couple of months. Yeah, she's a little bit overweight.
Just a little.
It's like the carpenter's closets or the shoemaker's shoes. Yeah. You call us for advice, but yet we still have an overweight dog here. But we're working on it. We're hopefully it'll be better.
It's just keeping her out of that cat food.
Yeah. How much do you think it costs for you to raise your pet through its lifetime? We're going to tell you today on the show.
And you're going to be shocked.
Yes. The average cost of what it costs for a dog, a cat, a tortoise, a bird, a chicken. If you have any one of these animals or planning to get the animals, we'll tell you what the average cost is. And we'll also tell you how to figure out the actual cost that you will spend on your animals through an interactive tool we have posted over at our Facebook page. Lori Brooks, what are you working on over there in the newsroom?
Got a ton of stuff today, and it's all fun. Most of it, the number of people who are allowed to take their animals to work has increased. Good. And with that story, we're going to tell you about a toy poodle who has a Napoleon complex and terrorizes his workforce.
Most toy poodles have a Napoleon complex?
Yep.
Okay, that's on the way. But first, your calls for Dr. Debbie and Joey Villani. Toll free, 1-866-405-8405 right now. Or you can ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Let's go to the phones, Doc.
Okay.
And let's go to Carmen. Hey, Carmen, how are you doing?
Oh, just fine, just fine.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Baldwin Park,
Bone Park?
Baldwin.
California.
Oh, Baldwin Park. Baldwin Park, California. Okay.
Yes.
So what's going on? How can we help you? I've got the doctor here and Joey Villani.
The thing is that I wanted to know, okay, my son, he experienced a stroke. He's in the hospital. Would that affect this dog? Because his name is David, and he's doing some weird stuff now.
What's he doing?
He's never pooped in the house.
Okay.
And now that my son's in the hospital, that's what he's doing. He's got a backyard outside, and it seems like every time we let him in, he wants to do his mess in the house. And I don't know, and my daughter doesn't know how to react towards that. We don't know if we have to spank him, scold him, put his nose in it.
Okay. Now, is he eating and doing his normal things in other ways?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Okay. And is this poop normal? That's the other important thing. Is it normal or is it diarrhea?
It's both. He's got his good days and his bad days.
Okay. Because that's always the first thing, is if we have a dog that has abnormal poop that is making a mess in the house, we have to really look at the possibility that there's something medically going on there. So that would be an important thing. But let's just say for argument's sake that his poop is completely normal. It is possible that because, especially if your son and his dog were particularly quite close, that his absence is leaving him with some anxiety. And that can present in a lot of different ways. I have clients who have extended hospital stays where their dog won't eat, and a family member struggles to get them to try to eat food, or that the pet is depressed and really doesn't move around the house much and just pretty much sleeps all day. So we definitely can see whether it's, a short-term depression, or in the event where, say, someone dies in the household, that they can go through mourning. So a lot of those psychological things can definitely happen with animals. It's just kind of the individual and how it expresses itself. So with something like the pooping in the house, I'd say the first thing is to get the dog evaluated by a vet, take a poop sample, and make sure there's not some health problem there. The next things from there I would do is I would definitely make sure we keep his diet consistent, that we're not changing it up since your son's in absence. And that's an important thing, because changing the food can also cause some, GI irregularities. But really, even I would make sure we accompany him to go outside, almost like he's an infant, a puppy. We want to, go out with him and provide that positive reinforcement when he does do the bathroom in the right spot, so he gets some sense of, okay, yay, I'm doing something right, because he doesn't understand the situation, and he may be feeling like he's getting punished. So, in answer to your question, the worst thing you can do is discipline him for pooping in the house. That's only going to make things worse. So I would just ask you not to do that, but to look for those opportunities to praise him for when he's doing it in the right spot. And it's going to take extra work on your part to make sure he's supervised and just kind of keeping an eyeball on him. And the other things I recommend for dogs that are either mourning or depressed due to changes in their household roles and situation is to kind of stick to what they know and keep that routine as close to what your son was doing when he was home. Make sure he goes out for his walks, he gets his normal playtime, that he does those things, and that we provide for him as close as we can. Because if he's normally used to, say, going to the dog park or going to friends or going for walks, if he's not doing that, I get depressed too if I don't get to go to my regular social dinner out with my gal pals. So those are important things for keeping that routine. And then there's other things we can try. There's some things like the pheromones, the dog scent hormones that can have a nice calming effect when they're under stressful situations, and those are in collars and diffusers. And there's even I carry a product at my office now called Soliquin, which is a kind of a natural supplement that helps pets with all sorts of anxiety situations. So sometimes travel, sometimes noise or firework phobias. But it's something that might even help him kind of during a time when he's feeling a little anxious and a little bit upside down in where his world is right now.
Okay.
So,
but other than that, he's, what he acts himself. He doesn't, I feed him at the same time every day. I give him his water, Okay. And I play with him ball, but it's just that he's never, when my son was okay, he never did that. So it's, to me, that's out of the ordinary.
It is, yeah. And, depending on, what your son's health situation, if there becomes an opportunity for a visitation, that can help both parties tremendously. And most human physicians recognize the power of animals in our lives to help us heal ourselves. So, that would be good for both parties if that could even be arranged at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my best wishes to you, Carmen, for your son's health and for his dog as well. So I hope everything works out okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks for your call, Carmen. Toll free 1-866-405-8405 to reach out to Dr. Debbie or Joey Villani. You can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Download that puppy right now and ask your questions away.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
The following program is underwritten in part by Viagen Pets, the leading provider of animal genetic preservation and cloning services. Preserve the genes of your dog or cat to extend the special bond you share with them. Get your free information kit and special offer for Animal Radio listeners at www.viagenpets.com. That's VIAGEN Pets.com.
And now today's really funny story. Innocent bystander?
I didn't know dogs could drive.
It's the Wayne, West Virginia Walmart. An employee's on a break when a car starts inching towards her. Instead of screaming and running the other way like I would have,
She assumed the driver maybe was messing with her.
until she saw a dog behind the wheel. What do you think, thoughtful innocent bystander?
Dogs can be your best friends. In this situation, they can be your enemy, too.
The car crashed into the front of the Walmart. Another dog in the passenger seat pushed the car window down to say hi. The owner left her car running.
So her dogs could stay cool while she was shopping.
The dog knocked the car out of park. Innocent bystander, what's the first thing you'd think if a car was coming at you being driven by a dog?
I would laugh for sure, and then I'd be like, oh, wow, dogs can drive.
Am I the only one who would run away?
This is
Animal Radio, baby.
Hi, this is Joyce DeWitt on Animal Radio. Please spay and neuter your animals. Thank you.
For over a decade, Viagen has been the leading provider of genetic preservation and cloning services of prized livestock with thousands of satisfied clients. Now announcing Viagen Pets, providing genetic preservation and cloning services to pet parents. Consider preserving the genes of your pet to extend the special bond you share with them. Get your free information kit and special offer for Animal Radio listeners at www.viagenpets.com. That's VIAGEN Pets.com.
Did you know canine caviar diets are formulated with common health concerns in mind, such as diabetes, cancer, and kidney disease? You see, canine caviar uses low GI carbs, which reduce hunger and prolong physical endurance. Free of GMO, gluten, hormones, steroids, and antibiotics, canine caviar's 5-star dog and cat foods are the only alkaline-based foods in the world, and that promotes a healthy lifestyle for your furry family. Find out more at caninecaviar.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, and this is where we celebrate the connection with your pets. And Judy is running around with her hair, pulling her hair out because we've got so much. We got a lot planned right now.
She's a busy lady.
She is a busy lady.
I got a schedule to keep.
We've got lots of phone calls. The phones are ringing white hot, and you can call right now, toll free at 1-866-405-8405. In just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Marc Ching, and he is the owner of the Pet Restaurant. He has recipes. He's telling you that you should cook for your animals, and I tend to agree with him when I see all these recalls of our food.
Oh, what was that? Plastic, melamine, whatever it was?
That was
food?
years ago.
I know, but still, I mean, you just don't know what's going to be in the food.
Yes, and you know what? I think there's stricter regulations for human food, so it's just better to cook sometimes. I don't do it completely 100%, but I do bring some of my, I don't want to say table food, but food that I've cooked that I know that is healthy to my dogs and cats. Green
I don't
beef.
cook for myself, guys.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't have time to cook for myself. I just find it hard to make that time for my animals to cook.
And yet you're the healthiest in the studio here, even though you probably spend half your life in drive-thrus.
I'm putting the cookie aside. You're not seeing it. Shh.
But you're swigging your Diet Pepsi now.
So we'll find out what he has to say about all of this in just a couple of minutes. Also, Ric O'Barry next hour will be joining us. He's the trainer of Flipper. And apparently, I guess there was like 5 flippers. You remember flippers? If you don't remember flippers,
ask your mom.
Yeah, ask your mom about Flipper. And he's changed his tune. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio. Also, Robert Semro with the Back to School Blues for the Pets. Yeah, it's possible that your pets are getting the blues because the kids are going back to school and they don't have all the attention that they used to get from the kids.
All that outdoor activity.
Either that or the really small dogs are celebrating.
Yes, because they get more attention. Attention.
The house is quiet.
Oh, yay, they'll be back to school.
Yes. What are you working on over there in the newsroom, Miss Brooks?
Well, you guys were talking about, dog food and some of it not maybe being so healthy. Well, there's a new study done that they found some of the chemicals in commercial dog food is having a bad effect for dogs that are used for breeding. And they think that this could follow into the human area as well. So we'll share that with you.
This is a sperm study, is that correct?
Well, I was trying to.
How cool.
That's on the way.
Yes, it is, Hal. It's a study of sperm, and I'm going to share it with you.
Okay, that's on the way. Also, how much does it cost for your pet for an entire life? For their entire life? Well, I'm going to let you ruminate on that for a little while. Think about that, and I'll tell you the answers coming up. How much do you think it costs for that dog that's sitting right next to you for their entire lifetime?
And I bet you're wrong.
That's on the way right here on Animal Radio. But first, over the last few weeks, we've been talking with the experts over at Viagen Pets. Those are the guys that have been cloning pets for, well, I think over 1.5 years now here in the U.S. In fact, we have Melaine Rodriguez with us today. Hi, Melaine. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Very good. So you've been talking face-to-face with, I would imagine, hundreds of pet owners.
Yes.
What is their reaction when you talk about genetic preservation and cloning?
Well, the response is really amazing. I was just recently at a pet expo, and I had the opportunity to speak with lots and lots of wonderful pet parents about Viagen Pets and about our genetic preservation and cloning services. And the response that we get is just incredible. The look on people's faces when they hear what we do, and their first reaction, I think, is, this is too good to be true. Is this real? Really? You're really doing this? So it's great. It's great to really educate and inform pet parents about it because it's something that they're all interested in. The majority of the pet parents that I speak with have no idea that this technology is available for pets.
And so we're talking about not only genetic preservation, but cloning. And those are two different things, right?
That's absolutely right. So the first step to cloning is what we call genetic preservation, and that's just preserving cells now from your pet that can be used for cloning at any point down the road. So you may not clone your dog or cat today, but you can preserve the cells now and save them for some time in the future when you're ready to do that. And the most common thing that I hear when I'm telling people about our services who've never heard about it before is they say, oh, I wish I would have known about this before because I had the best dog ever who just passed away last year, and I wish I would have known about it.
How long can you save DNA?
The cells that we store can be saved indefinitely. You could clone with these cells decades from now.
Wow, okay.
Can you get genetic preservation from ashes if an animal has already been cremated?
We cannot, and that's another really common question that we get is, can you clone from ashes? I have some fur. Could you clone from fur or whiskers? And I wish we could, but unfortunately we can't. It has to be living cells that are cultured from living tissue samples. So it's got to be done with a tissue biopsy that's done by your veterinarian.
I have a question, Melaine. So what about like the opposite side of things here? I mean, obviously there's a lot of good that we found that comes through this, but what about people that might be worried that this is like experimenting on animals and that there's somehow animals might be injured in this process? What can you tell somebody about that?
Yep, and that's definitely understandable because any pet lover is going to have those concerns. Are the surrogates treated humanely? How are they treated? And I'll tell you, we're a company of animal lovers, every one of us. And the surrogates, every pet, every animal that's involved in this process, every step of the way is very special and treated with the utmost care.
I encourage listeners to check out the website, and it's ViagenPets.com. That's spelled VIAGENPETS.com, ViagenPets.com. They can also call you. You have a toll-free number, right?
That's right. They can give me a call. I love talking to clients and answering any question that they have. There's lots of questions about this. There's no stupid questions out there. Any question at all, I'm happy to answer. And they can call me directly on our toll-free number. That's 888-876-6104.
888-876-6104. We'll put that over at the website. So if you're driving along right now, you want to get that, head on over to animalradio.com. We'll put all that information over there. Melaine, thank you so much for hanging with us today.
You're very welcome. Y'all have a great day.
People say less is more. At Red Barn, we think less is better. It's what you won't find that sets our natural premium pet food apart. No byproducts, no corn or soy, no fillers. Just the natural ingredients your pets need to live the healthy life they deserve. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Red Barn canned food for cats and dogs is grain and gluten-free.
If you have cats, I bet you didn't realize there's a connection between common health problems in cats to the type of litter you use. Ammonia forms in the litter box and can cause vomiting, diarrhea, drooling, panting, and even upper respiratory infections. You can stop this by switching to Cat's Incredible Litter. It has patented technology that stops ammonia from forming, with all profits going to help animals in need. Available now at your local pet store and Petco stores nationwide.
Hey, this is Paula Poundstone. Wait, I forget where I am.
Animal Radio.
Animal Radio. I love that. All right. Hey, this is Paula Poundstone on Animal Radio. Spay and neuter your pets or we're going to be eaten alive!
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. According to the Society of Human Resource Management, 7% of American employers now allow pets to come to work with their owners. So that's up 2% over the last 5 years. Not really an overnight change, but it is a change in the right direction for pet parents and for healthier workplaces, where pets, of course, are known to drastically change things for the better for their humans. For example, at North Carolina-based Replacements, this company makes and sells fine dining ware. And of the 400 employees who work there at Replacements, about 30 of them bring their pets to work every single day. Can you imagine that? That could be your typical bull in a china shop scenario, but they say it doesn't happen there, as they have never, ever had a case of a pet breaking anything. Humans, yes. Pets, no. Meantime, a study at Virginia Commonwealth University a couple of years ago measured levels of cortisol in workers' systems and found that people whose pets came to work saw a decrease in stress throughout the workday, whereas those who didn't have a pet at their office saw their hormones increase. So pets at work are a win-win situation. But it's not to say there aren't problems with it. In the case of Buchanan Public Relations just outside of Philadelphia a while ago, Lacey, this Rottweiler mixed dog, was terrorized by a toy poodle named Romeo. Romeo, being a toy poodle, was very tiny, and he had a Napoleon complex, for being so small. But instead of canceling the pets at work policy, the owner of the company hired a dog trainer there to sort things out. So Romeo ended up working with the trainer, gave up some of his treasured territory, and workplace harmony was restored, and everybody was happy.
I love it.
I do too. Sperm quality. Got your attention there, in dogs, right? Sure. Has fallen rapidly over the past 3 decades. And they say that's a trend which could help explain the decline in human fertility. The finding was highlighted in a study by the University of Nottingham that found a potential link between environmental contaminants and fertility after they discovered chemicals in commercial dog food that seemed to have a poor effect on sperm function. The research team collected semen from as many as 97 stud dogs every year for more than 26 years. They found that sperm motility declined by 2.5% each year between 1988 and 1998. And then the decrease slowed down a little bit, about 1.2% each year between 2002 and 14. Now, some experts say the study begs the question, does a similar effect happen in human male fertility because of the chemicals we eat? Researchers at Nottingham believe their study might help explain the reported significant decline in human semen quality. For decades, the Forest of Stone Museum in central China has been a hugely popular tourist destination for people there who wanted to see its collection of ancient stone monuments. But recently, the courtyard at the museum has become the main attraction as visitors began posting pictures of themselves visiting with a family of stray cats that had taken up residence in the museum's courtyard. The museum was planning on catching and giving away the cats, doing the good thing. After complaints, though, that one of the cats had scratched a small child who was trying to play with her, that plan was put on hold. Now, once internet users got wind of the plan to get rid of the kittens, the museum's page was flooded with angry comments. Some people threatened that they would boycott the museum if the cats couldn't stay. Others pointed out that the cats were one of the reasons that they were in fact planning to visit the museum anyhow. As one poster noted, cats don't attack people unless provoked, so it's humans that need to keep themselves in check. So, luckily for the cats and their legions of fans over there in China, the museum has had a change of heart, of course. After seeing the outrage sparked online, they have announced that the cats will be allowed to stay. In fact, now they say they will even all be neutered, given vaccinations and flea and tick control. We like that the founder of the Beijing-based Good Dog, Good Cat Companion Center in China said, quote, "I always believed that how people treat animals reflects how civilized their society is." I like that even better than you can tell the heart of a person, by the way they treat animals.
Now, I just want to make sure I have this correct. So they love the cats in China, and they honor them. But do they still eat dog in China?
I think in some parts, it's more like, that would happen in a rural area.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to say something about that comment that cats don't attack unless provoked. There's always an exception. I've had cats that attacked without any provocation at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that kid was
and if you watch Cat from Hell, you've seen that.
Yeah.
My Cat from Hell. Yeah. Okay, finally, you guys, I've got a fun fact for you just because I thought it was pretty amazing. We know that last year Americans spent over $60 billion on their pets now. And that is, of course, a number expected to increase by another $2 billion this year for 2016. Jeez. But that is so much money. Mm-hmm. So, when you get these large figures, somebody always has to do something with them. So Abodo.com figured this out. They say that if you spent $20 every second, it would take you 95 years to spend that $60 billion that we collectively spent on our pets last year.
Wow, that's incredible. By the way, and this sort of relates, I just got this information in. This is information from another research company. I forget who. It's cut off, unfortunately, on my sheet here. But it says how much it costs for your animals for a lifetime. How much will it cost? And it also has a calculator so that you can figure out how much it will cost for you to have your animal for a lifetime.
To raise an animal from infancy to its...
Yeah, in a couple of minutes, I will divulge the information that they have right here. And if you want to see it yourself and you want to actually calculate how much your animal will cost, head on over to our Facebook page. Our calculator is up there, and you can find out how much dogs, cats, goldfish, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, tortoises, lizards, birds, chickens, how much they will cost for an entire lifetime over at our Facebook page.
And then add an extra $2,000 just because you, my friend, I know, are a picky pet owner.
Yeah, I spoil them a little more. I'm a little higher than average. I want you, in fact, between now and the next couple of 10 minutes or so, think about how much you spend on your animals. I'm going to ask you.
Or how much you will spend over their entire lifetime.
But there you go. That's on the way.
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news whenever you need it, anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
Well, this healthy serving of Animal Radio is brought to you by the grain-free Red Barn Naturals canned food for dogs and cats, always made in the USA with natural, functional ingredients to support your pet's optimal health. You can learn more over at redbarninc.com. And thank you so much, Red Barn, for underwriting Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
Hello, everyone. It's Robert Semro, your Pet World Insider, here with this week's Animal Radio list, Back to School Pet Blues. I, like so many parents, are at the point of the year where we've enjoyed spending time with the kids, taking some trips, doing fun activities, and now I'm ready, even if they aren't, for the kids to go back to school. I do enjoy my time with them, and I wish summer could go on forever. Okay, maybe not. But while I'm relishing this glorious transition, I know that my pets are not. So on this week's list, I thought I'd share some ways to prepare for the back-to-school pet blues. First, keep in mind that your pets, dog, cat, bird, or even desert tortoises, have all enjoyed the extra time and attention that they've received because there's no after-school homework, strict bedtimes, or even that general feeling of just being free. Remember that our pets don't understand the subtlety of school being in session or out of session. They only know that they're getting the attention that they deserve. So as you transition into less time and more responsibilities, remember that your responsibility to your pets is to be aware of their needs and to accommodate them as much as possible during transitional times. Next, the time urgency means different routines in the morning. It can also mean more stress. Remember that our pets feed off of our energy levels and can manifest our stress in their bad behaviors. Remember those shoes or that beautiful chair that served as their stress relief last year? If you want to avoid that, change or modify some of the habits that you have that you see raising their stress level. It could be as simple as not getting ready with them in the room, or it might be having them in a separate area of the house when getting ready to leave. That familiarity of this is where I'm supposed to be when my human parents are leaving can be very calming. Also, communicate with your pets. No, don't turn every goodbye into a 2-hour French movie drama, but acknowledge them and let them know you'll be back. I tell my pets I love them and I'll be back soon whenever I'm leaving. And for them, it's calming and reassuring. I also make sure that they're not following me to the door. This avoids 2 issues. 1, the possibility of a quick escape or an attempt to go with me, and also the anxiety of the door closing them in. Another thing that works for many is to leave a TV or radio on so that they hear the chatter and voices and don't have that scary movie left home alone feeling all day. Additionally, consider leaving a t-shirt with your scent in their bed or near their resting area. Many times, the smell of their loved ones provides the comfort that they need to relax. In the end, it all comes down to the most important thing that any pet parent must do, and that is know your pet. Know what calms them and what stresses them out. Know what steps you can do to help them. And if you're not having the success you need, look to a professional for some advice. Share your back-to-school pet blues solutions on our Animal Radio Facebook page.
Did you know canine caviar diets are formulated with common health concerns in mind, such as diabetes, cancer, and kidney disease? You see, canine caviar uses low GI carbs, which reduce hunger and prolong physical endurance. Free of GMO, gluten, hormones, steroids, and antibiotics, canine caviar's 5-star dog and cat foods are the only alkaline-based foods in the world, and that promotes a healthy lifestyle for your furry family. Find out more at caninecaviar.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Animal Radio, where we are just a little bit crazy about our animals. And many of us even cook for our own animals. And in fact, I know, Judy, you don't actually cook for your animals, but you'll put on green beans and
peas and sometimes some pumpkin and just add
you'll dress it up a little bit.
Well, what I do is she needs to lose a little weight, so I've been trying to pull back a little bit on the dog food itself and replace it with a healthy vegetable.
Now, peas won't do that. Peas are a protein, and they're actually higher in calories, I believe.
Oh, but I thought peas were good.
Green beans, I think, are good.
She likes green beans. Those seem to be her favorite. And maybe there's some other vegetables that I can add to make her feel full without giving her all the calories.
I bet there are. You know who we have on the phone right now is Marc Ching from the Pet Restaurant. Hi, Marc. How you doing?
Hi. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So are more and more people cooking for their animals, and what would be the reason for that?
Well, I think a lot of people are choosing to cook nowadays because of the health benefits and some of the concerns with commercial-type food diets. And so, there's so many issues with food nowadays in the pet industry, and the regulation is not as stringent. And so, most of us consider our dogs and cats, family. And so more and more people are wanting to control what they feed.
Now, we can't just willy-nilly pull things out of the refrigerator. We got to create a balanced diet for our animals. How do we do that?
Well, I want to talk about, a lot of people think that it's bad to feed human food, but they don't realize that kibble, which is dry food or whatever you're feeding, once was human food, and so it's more about knowing what to feed. The adage about not feeding human food, it's kind of like not feeding pizza or like a turkey sandwich or things like that. To balance the meals, you know, at the pet restaurant, we teach people how to cook. It's much easier than you think. We recommend you picking a protein source, trying to get it as lean as possible, and using 3 vegetables. We here are more proponents of green vegetables, and we're kind of like anti-sugar. We don't really recommend tubers or carrots or things like that that have high starch and sugar content. And so if you're using a blend of vegetables too, you kind of hit different vitamin categories that you wouldn't if you were just doing spinach and chicken or something like that. And so, but for people who have concerns, we recommend multivitamins. There's so many of them now. We actually recommend human supplements, which sounds weird, but in the human supplement industry, there's so much regulation. You know, if you have a supplement that someone takes and they die from it, I mean, that company is instantly bankrupt and has lawsuits. In the animal industry, it's not like that. And so, you know, there's a supplement called Symmetry by Whole Leaf Organics. That's what most people here use. For omegas, we recommend coconut oil. It's an inexpensive type of omega that you can add. If you have itching problems or something, then we would recommend probiotics and enzymes. But other than that, cooking is fairly simple.
The only thing I do have to point out is that, you know, as the veterinarian here, there are published research studies, and especially computer-generated models, where they've looked at home-cooked diets that a good majority of even veterinarians have recommended. And for a good majority of those, you know, I think the research was 62% of them were vitamin deficient. 86% were deficient in minerals, 55% were low in protein. Taurine, which is incredibly important for cats, was low in 77%, and these were published ones. So I think home cooking has its place, and it definitely can be a benefit, but it is something I don't advise for them just to say, here, I'm going to pick 4 ingredients, throw them together, give a multivitamin, we're good.
What human foods should we stay away from feeding our animals?
Like I said, here we're a little different. We focus on health issues, and so we instruct people on how to cook and how to divide feeding protocols based on who their dog is. Colitis, IBD, itching, diabetes, all type of things. If I just had to make a general statement, you know, we push towards green vegetables because the sugar content is much lower than if you're adding a carrot or things like that. The foods to stay away from, in our opinion, are things with wheat, corn-type foods.
What about rice?
Well, a lot of people use rice. Here, we only use rice if we're trying to lower the protein value for a kidney or liver issue. We really don't recommend rice. We look at it more as a filler. Other people believe differently, but we push more towards species-appropriate diets, so things that they would eat in the wild, even though they don't live in the wild, per se. But so we are not a big proponent for rice.
We have Ladybug, the studio stunt dog, who is 10 pounds and should be 8 pounds. She's a little Jack Russell Min Pin mix. And the doctor has said she needs to lose a couple of pounds. What kind of additives? What should we do? What would be your prescription, Mark?
Well, for a dog like that, you know, the diet I would recommend is, you know, 50% meat and 50% green veggies like kale, spinach, zucchini. And to cook it, it's very simple. You just cut up the vegetables. You would add it in a pot with no lid with just a little bit of water. The vegetables actually take a little longer to break down than the meat, and then you would add your meat after a minute, and you just cook it all together. A dog that size would eat about a 1/3 cup twice a day. And because it's lower in starch and more easily digestible, you would see the weight normalize just on a diet like that, or we see that in my practice.
Okay, so the 1/3 cup, I think that's where I mess up.
Yeah, you do too much.
I probably do closer to maybe a half.
So the website is thepetrestaurant.com. What are we going to find over there?
Well, our site's kind of built to like address, you know, ailments or certain conditions, and so you mostly find advice on how, you know, you can kind of take control using natural things to remedy certain situations or really to boost the immune system and keep your dogs healthy.
Mark, thanks so much for hanging with us. We appreciate it. Marc Ching, the owner of thepetrestaurant.com. We're going to head back to the phones for your calls. Toll free 1-866-405-8405.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 5151 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 5151.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Many people think when they get an animal that it won't be that expensive. Maybe a few $1,000s total through their entire lifetime. And we have a brand new survey. This hour will release all that information for you. It tell you how much it costs for a dog and a cat, and a goldfish, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, tortoises, lizards, birds, chickens. If you have any one of these animals or you're thinking of getting one of these animals, we'll tell you how much it will cost for their lifetime.
And I bet the dog's the most expensive. That's my guess.
That would be incorrect.
Incorrect. The dog's not the most expensive out of all those animals.
I'm not going to give it away now. I don't want to give it away. It's coming up this hour. And if you want to learn how much your animal is going to cost and work with our interactive calculator, we have it over at our Facebook page. Because some of us spend more on our animals than others, you know.
This is average.
Some of us, we do the Friskies diets for our cats.
I know you don't do that.
I don't do that.
I know you don't.
It's interesting because they show the average on cats. They say that the amount that you would spend a month is $35 on food for a month, average, on a cat. And, hell, I do that in a week.
Yeah, I think that's and I think most people do spend more money on food than for a lot of other items. But there's still like the toys, the bedding, the activities, if your dog's in different activities.
Vet care. Yeah, you don't even need to worry about vet care, do you, Doc?
See, but I think a lot of these studies are very surprising because people assume it's all about the people spend money on the vet care, and it isn't always that. It's actually the bigger costs go towards all these other things.
Well, you will be surprised to find out what the most expensive animal is, I guarantee. And that's coming up this hour. Also, along with Ric O'Barry. Who is Ric O'Barry, you say? He was the trainer of Flipper. You remember the show during, the 70s, I guess? Flipper. Was it late 60s, early 70s? Flipper.
Yeah, late 60s.
It was black and white, I think, wasn't it?
It was 60s.
Yeah. And apparently this trainer, who has made millions through training these animals and could have had a spectacular career at SeaWorld, has turned the opposite way and is anti-training, anti-captivity, and I want to find out why. I think I know why, but I want to find out why.
What made him change his tune?
That's coming up this hour right here on Animal Radio. Lori, what are you working on?
Oh, gosh, I've got so much stuff today, but this I think is pretty funny. There's a big survey of what would you do if the house were on fire? Would you grab your dog or would you grab your grandmother's quilt? That. And then they pitted dog owners against cat owners. So we're going to find out the bottom line here. Is it a dog owner or a cat owner that is more likely to choose their pet over their significant other? There's a whole lot of fun things, but that's kind of the cherry on top.
I got to tell you, I would do almost anything for my cat. I would. Including probably losing a limb.
Yeah, I would do the same for my dog.
Yeah?
Yep.
Well, you'll see if other people feel the same, because they put some way out questions on this survey, but it's interesting.
Okay, that's on the way in just a couple of minutes, but first your calls with Dr. Debbie and Joey Villani. Toll free, 1-866-405-8405. And let's go to Julie. Hey, Julie, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Nice to hear you there.
Yeah, so where are you? Where do you live?
I live near the Reading in the WEU area.
Oh, Reading, Pennsylvania. Well, thank you so much. So,
yes.
What's going on?
Okay. I always get concerned when I hear people talk about cloning an animal that they love very much.
Sure.
Or getting one that looks just like the one they love very much. And I think it's not fair to the new animal.
Tell us why.
Well, every animal I've had, and I've had a lot, they all have different traits and different characteristics, and they relate to you differently, and their sweet little ways are different and everything. And I'm afraid that if people are expecting this animal to suddenly be just like the other one because it looks like it, that they're going to be feeling disappointment, which in turn is going to be felt by the animal. And I just, I think it's a slippery slope.
You know what? I feel a lot of the same sentiments that you do in one way, and that is that I often see my clients that will have a white fluffy Bichon, and then the next one is the next one, and then they get a third one. And through the years, over the decades, they're named the same name. They look the same. They're the same sex. So for me, I have a hard time understanding that I never would want to replace my one pet with one that looks like it, expecting it to be the same. Because I think that, people wouldn't do that with their kids, expecting every child to act the same. But I think people, in the way I rationalize this, some people really find an affinity for a breed or a male or a female, and they know what they like. And the naming, I don't quite get that. But why they keep going back to the same name, I don't understand. But I can definitely understand why some people are compelled to clone because they know what type they like or what characteristics they like. And
But as long as they're not expecting that animal to be the same in the behavior.
Yeah, and that's a great point, is that, cloning is basically the same as like having twins or triplets. They have the same genetic makeup. It doesn't make them the same person or the same animal. So they're going to react as an individual, and that's a combination of environment and genetics and exposure with time. So, yeah, you're right. It isn't fair if someone says, I want this dog because I want it to act like the last dog I had. But if you like a dog that, say, is really adept in agility and it's a, mixed breed dog, you're never going to recreate it. I can understand the goal and the interest in trying to recreate something that is never going to happen again in nature.
But as long as they understand that.
Yeah. And do you get the feeling that, that's not the direction that cloning is presented as, to the people?
I think it depends on the person. Can they make that adjustment to, it looks like my friend, but this is a totally new, unique animal, and we're going to learn all about this one.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I've loved every critter I've had, and the joy for me has been discovering each animal along the way and what makes them tick. I don't want to relive the same animal over my lifespan, because I think I'd probably want to cut out certain parts of those accidents or mishaps along the way. But I find that a lot of fun about getting a new pet and just finding out the adventure together.
Just so they're not making the animal feel like they're disappointed in them,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't have expectations, is what you're saying. You can't have the same expectations of the animal as you had the other one. It's like human identical twins. You wouldn't treat them as they're individuals, and they probably have different tastes and different desires, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
But it's just the animal can sense if you're feeling negative.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I just hope people give that a good thought. Can they make that adjustment?
Yeah. So, Julie, I take it you would never clone a pet?
Oh, no. And like on dogs, I would never get anything that looked, I adopt, anything that resembled ones I've had. And unfortunately with feral cats, I've been rescuing ferals for like 35 years, and it's whatever crosses my path. So I don't really have a choice there. But I've found, like right now, I have 3 that 2 of them strongly resemble pets I had 20 years ago, and one behavior-wise, doesn't look like it, but behavior-wise has so many traits of another one. And I find every so often I will call them the wrong name. I catch myself as soon as I do it, but what in my subconscious is making me call the first one's name?
Something's there, some common similarity in their behavior or their appearance, yeah.
But I don't expect them to act like it. The one that does, that's just purely accident. But I don't expect that.
And I think it'll be interesting to see, because I think cloning, until we hear more and more pet owners that actually have gone through it, and we can hear how their experiences are. I think we are kind of speculating. We know that there are different individuals, and you would expect they're not going to be identical in behavior. Maybe some of their tendencies might be similar, but I think it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
But do you think they might do that with show dogs that are really good if they want them to physically be the same?
I don't know, but from what I understand, the AKC at this point does not accept cloned pets.
Good.
Into their mix. But I think they have to really look at it and see how it's going to affect if they're going to do this or not.
Is that because animals that have congenital problems, if they're cloned, the clone can also have those congenital problems?
Well, any animal with any genetics, if either they reproduce naturally or cloning, yes, we're passing on that potential. I don't know if that's the stance on any, AKC or whatever, but there's that same potential. Just as if you bred two dogs that had hip dysplasia, they could have the offspring could have hip dysplasia.
Okay. Julie, thank you so much for calling.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
And thank you so much for listening. Call anytime you want. We appreciate hearing from all of you. Toll free 1-866-405-8405 or from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Alan Cable with Real Dogs doing amazing things. This one only weighs 10 pounds.
Me and my little sister were making mud pies, and I hear a hiss and a rattle, and I look down and there's a snake.
These two kids were inches away from a venomous rattlesnake.
He was already curled up.
He was coiled and ready to strike, and he tried to, but his bite missed its mark.
Tycho, he got in front of me, and the snake bit him.
This little 10-pound dog took a rattlesnake bite in his right eye.
He saved her life.
This family is so thankful. All they can do now is wait for the swelling to go down to see if the dog's eye will be okay. Another amazing story out of Baltimore when police were called about a vicious pit bull. Folks said he was terrorizing the neighborhood. The officer who responded is a dog lover, and he followed the pit bull into an alley. All the dog wanted to do was lick him. The officer got into the back of the patrol car with the dog, and they drove him to the shelter, but when they got there, he couldn't turn the dog in. He brought the dog home to his other two dogs, and they all seemed to be getting along just fine.
This is
Animal Radio. It's fall flooring season. Get incredible deals on the latest trends at Lumber Liquidators Fall Flooring Kickoff Sale. We've got 100 new flooring styles, new colors, new textures, even new waterproof floors. Choose from over 60 varieties of North American and European laminates from 39 cents a square foot. Pre-finished hardwood from $129. Get $1 off Bellawood pre-finished hardwood. Save on the hottest styles in vinyl plank, bamboo, and more. Plus special financing. Visit LumberLiquidators.com to find a store near you and get to the Fall Flooring Kickoff Sale today.
Not available in all states.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. And if you're like me, and you're probably not, you should be thankful, but if you're like me, you spent much of your youth watching Bewitched and Flipper. Those are my big shows. Mm-hmm. And, well, of course, Flipper. The trainer, Ric O'Barry, is joining us. Hi, Rick. How are you doing?
Well, I'm actually recovering dolphin trainer.
Yeah, that's actually why we have you on the phone. Recovering is very important. How many flippers were there, by the way?
There were 5.
There were 5. And you now have done a 180. You believe that what you were doing in the training was a big mistake, huh?
Yeah. Dolphins don't really need to be trained at all. They've been around complete and perfect for 65 million years. They don't need me to train them to be dolphins.
What was the turnaround? I understand that one of the flippers died in your arms. Is that correct?
That's true, yeah. The one that I thought of as Flipper, we had 5 females, but one of them was used 90% of the time, and that would be Kathy, who I thought of as Flipper.
And was that an epiphany for you then, or did it come much later when you decided maybe they shouldn't be trained?
Well, it wasn't an epiphany. It was a breaking point, you might say. I knew for several months before then, a year actually or more, they didn't belong in captivity, but I didn't do anything about it until then. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, you might say. I decided I was going to try to free as many dolphins as I could. And the first one was right across the Gulf Stream at a Lerner Marine Laboratory. Lerner Dress Shops actually owned it. It used to be a popular dress
Learners,
shop.
yes, uh-huh.
And so they had this marine laboratory that was like a tax write-off in the Bahamas. Actually, there were several dolphins there that I helped capture when we were at the Miami Seaquarium. We brought them over there, but only one was still alive. His name was Charlie Brown, and I tried to free him and was not successful. Ended up in jail, and that was Earth Day, 1970, first Earth Day. Coincidentally, it wasn't planned that way, but that's how it turned out. And I've been doing it ever since. That was like 50-something years ago, and I found a better way to rehabilitate them and release them back in the wild, besides just cutting a fence.
So when you knew that something was awry, I mean, you obviously have a very close communication with these animals, these dolphins. What was it that they did that you had a sense that they should not be in captivity?
It's real obvious if you're paying attention. And I was paying attention because, unlike all the other dolphin trainers on the planet, I didn't go home at 5 o'clock when the place closed. I lived there. And so I was living with them for 7 years, and I got to know them very, very well. And when you know them, you know that they don't belong in captivity, that it's a failed experiment. This is all about money and only about money, and we couch it in as education and research and science and all that nonsense, but it's really about money and only money. So I was aware of that at that point. It wasn't that way when I started, but towards the end of the TV series, I knew that. And I could have stayed. I could have stayed with that industry. SeaWorld hadn't been formed yet. I could have gone on and been probably the head trainer, vice president maybe of SeaWorld, or started my own dolphinarium in the Bahamas and be making $10 million a year. But I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Well, there was a period that you were sleeping at night, though, that you knew it was wrong, and that you continued to do that, though, right?
No, not really. When I became aware that they didn't belong in captivity, I didn't sleep well at night.
Okay.
Actually, I did before that. You have to remember when I started working at the Miami Seaquarium, Flipper TV show came along, and I was assigned to work there. I was 20 years old. I just gotten out of 5 years of the military, where you are brainwashed into not questioning authority. You don't ask, it's not like I'm the same guy I was today. I was a 20-year-old just out of the military, trained to take orders. A few years I was making very good money. I was driving a new Porsche every year, but I was faced with the reality that this was wrong. I didn't do anything about it, as I say, until Earth Day 1970.
Mm-hmm. It's a real conundrum still with like zoos, not just dolphins, but with zoos and elephants and all these animals that
in captivity
are in captivity. But I could see both sides. I would have never have seen these animals up close unless they were in a venue where I could, and I may not have made the connection with these animals unless I had seen them up close. Do you understand that?
No, of course I do, and that's one of the arguments that I still debate with that industry and in the media, and that's one of
you know how I solve that argument, though? I have recently found, I think it's explore.org, and I'm a big fan of orcas. And they have and bald eagles. And so you can watch at explore.org. They have all of these online cams. And just the other day, I was watching orcas go through a cove at the Orca Base headquarters up in British Columbia. And that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's still two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That's one of the arguments. These children here in the ghetto would never be able to see a dolphin if they didn't go to Coney Island and see a beluga whale.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these same children are never going to see a snow leopard. Does that mean we have to go to the Himalayas and drag a snow leopard into the room for them?
That's a good point.
Yep. Do we teach our children to control their desires, which I think is the key to solving all of our environmental problems? So you can't always get what you want. The kids don't have to see dolphins performing in a building. As a matter of fact, it's a form of bad education.
I commend you, and I stand up and salute you right now for what you've done, not only what you're doing now, but what you've done in the past before it was really, as you have mentioned, brought to anybody's attention. And I encourage listeners to check out your website, dolphinproject.net, to learn a little more about your mission. And I thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
And good for him. And you know what? I totally relate with him. When I was 20 years old, I was a real idiot.
Yeah, me too. Check
out the website, dolphinproject.net. We'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.com.
Fido Friendly Magazine presents the 8th annual month-long pet adoption tour, Get Your Licks on Route 66. On the road from September through October. Along with media sponsor Animal Radio and companion sponsors Turf Mutt and Evercare, we travel in our Mercedes Sprinter, provided by Sprinter Rentals from LA to Chicago, stopping at shelters along the way to support adoption events. Our community sponsors, John Paul Pets, Zeus Pet Toys, Pet Curian, Well Pet, Tito's Vodka, and Brampton go along for the ride, while we bring our giant spinning wheel filled with prizes you can win. Log on to Get Your Licks on Route66.com to find out where the tour stops near you. You can help raise money for your shelter, and you might just find your new forever friend.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. Hey, there's a new list out of the most and least pet-friendly cities in the United States, thanks to Wallet Hub. In order to identify the cities where our furry and feathered and scaled friends can all enjoy the best quality of life without breaking our wallets, Wallet Hub compared the creature friendliness of the 100 largest cities based on 19 key criteria. And here is some of what they found. First, we'll start off with the big list. The top 10 most pet-friendly cities are, and we'll start at number 10 and go up the list. Number 10 is St. Louis. Las Vegas is number 9, Dr. Debbie. In 8th place, it's Cincinnati. Colorado Springs is number 7. In 6th place is Reno, Nevada. In the top 5, number 5 is Scottsdale, Arizona. Then Lexington, Kentucky snags 4th place. Tampa is the 3rd pet-friendliest pet city in the country, and Birmingham, Alabama is 2nd, while taking the title of the number 1 pet-friendliest city in the country is Orlando.
Wow.
Kind of nice to know. Yeah, because so many people vacation there. Orlando, by the way, also has the highest number of veterinarians and pet businesses overall for every 100,000 people who live there. Now, let's look at some other things. On the flip side of this analysis, the cities on the bottom of the list, that would be the least pet-friendly cities. Joey would hate this. Jersey City comes in at number 91. Getting worse, just below Jersey City is Chicago, then Los Angeles. Anaheim, home to Disneyland. Newark, New Jersey's at number 5. Philadelphia, worse yet, at number 96. Then Detroit is 97 on the list. Boston is 98th. Santa Ana, California, and then at 100 of the pet-friendly city list, the worst, New York City. That's kind of scary, our biggest city, and it's the worst. Now, some other things that we learned, Stockton, California has the lowest veterinary care cost in the country at less than $33 per visit, while New York, if you were going to take your pet in for an office visit, $86 to just walk in the door. St. Paul, Minnesota has the lowest dog insurance premium rate, less than $22 a month. Not bad. That's about 2.5 times less than in New York, the city with the highest pet insurance premium at usually more than $53 a month if you live in the big city. New Orleans has the highest number of pet-friendly restaurants, and when it comes to animal shelters, Scottsdale, Arizona has the highest number of animal shelters per 100,000 residents. The city with the least number of shelters for its residents is Detroit. Kind of sad. Well, the owner of a French bulldog that went missing in Northern California over the summer is now offering a huge reward for information leading to the safe return of her 6-year-old dog named Sassy Pants. The dog disappeared from Novato. That's in Marin County back in June when she broke away from her dog sitter to go chase after a squirrel, and they never saw her again. Sassy Pants' owner even hired a pet detective and 2 animal communicators, both of whom told her they believe that the dog is still alive. Now, this frustrated and very heartbroken pet parent is offering a $10,000 reward for the safe return of her fur kid. Unfortunately, she says that she's not ruling out foul play just yet because 3 times she's returned to the area where Sassy Pants disappeared and put up dozens of, these lost dog flyers only to return and have seen all of them torn down, which raised suspicions because, why would somebody do that? Sassy's mom says it's almost like someone is keeping her and doesn't want the attention. But she says she is not giving up. Anyone who has information on Sassy Pants, the French Bulldog, can email findsassypants@yahoo.com. And the battle between pets rages on. In fact, it might have gotten a little bit out of hand with this one, but both sides do agree that having a dog or cat means more than just having something to cuddle with, since more and more of us view our fur children as a part of the family. So just how far would pet owners go to protect their dogs and cats? Well, the writers over at Abodo.com, they deal with properties and rentals that will take pets. They surveyed 2,000 people to find out who took their role as pet parents seriously and who just wanted an animal around for companionship. Well, they found nearly 9 out of 10 said that they would save their pet from a fire before running into a burning building to save a family heirloom. 58% said they would pick having their pet over ever having their dream home. 63% would choose their pet over their significant other if they had to choose. More than half would rather resort to cannibalism before eating their own pet. That's a bad thought. Yes. 25% said they would lose a limb for their cat or dog if it would save them. 54% said they would lose a finger so a pet could keep a leg. 69% would keep their pet even if they were offered a blank check for it. That's pretty amazing. Dog owners, by the way, if you're a dog or a cat person, dog owners, they say, most likely to keep your fur baby and live in a shack rather than give up the pet for your dream home or give up the internet forever to keep your pet and jump into boiling water to save your dog. Cat owners, they found, were more likely to choose their cat over their significant other, and the cat owners over the dog owners were more likely to have their fur child designated world's most ugliest in exchange for $1 million. Would you do that, Hal?
I don't know.
Cat guy.
I definitely would kick my spouse to the road, though, if it was the cat or my spouse, certainly. I'm just saying. So I fit into that survey. Somewhere there.
I hope your wife's not listening.
She never does.
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Can we fit it all in? Yes, sir. It's Animal Radio, toll free, 1-866-405-8405. Stand back. We don't know how big this show gets. Let's talk to Dale. Hey, Dale, how are you?
Hi. I've got a boxer pup. It's about, 15 months old. And some friends of ours was over, and they had an Akita puppy, and they were playing pretty rough. And the Akita puppy literally just ran right into the boxer pup and pushed him into a cabinet. And they started favoring his front right leg for quite a while. And, I laid him down and I kind of felt his leg and checked to see if there was any fractures or anything that I could feel of. Couldn't feel anything, and there was normal movement in an up and down, in a normal position on the leg. So the next day we take him to the vet just to make sure there wasn't a simple fracture. They didn't show anything on the x-ray, but to this day, this was several months back, and to this day, he'll favor the leg on occasion, but then when it's almost like when he just has a moment where he'll run and play like there's nothing wrong with it. I can't figure out why he keeps favoring it, and my vet can't figure it out either.
Yeah, that is a bit of a strange presentation for a limping problem. And when you talk about a young dog, especially a young large breed dog, a couple things come to mind of types of growth problems that can occur and that can cause a limping problem, especially an on-again, off-again problem. They're not always typically preceded by an injury. So that kind of confuses the history here a little bit for your baby. But there are some weird conditions. There's one called OCD and another called panosteitis, and they're common in young large breed dogs, and they're a little bit harder to find because they're not really as obvious as a fracture. So I might say that in your situation, I would encourage maybe a follow-up x-ray and see if there's any changes between those. See if there's some subtle change with the cartilage that maybe is sheared off, a defect, something that could explain that persistent pain. Because, if nothing's broken and he's a youngster, I can't make up any other real good reasons why he should be having a problem in that regard.
Right. I didn't know if it might be like a bone bruise or something, on a green bone that's still growing. I didn't know if there could be such a thing like a bone bruise.
Well, they can get bone cysts and kind of like inclusion cysts inside the parts of the long bones. And that might not be something that was readily apparent the first time, right after the injury, but that's where shooting another x-ray at this point might be worthwhile to see. Because you can get changes like that in a bone after some kind of injury. So, I think that would probably be the best thing I'd encourage it is to just take another peek at it. And then has your puppy been on any kind of pain relief? Did they prescribe an anti-inflammatory of any sort?
Yeah, an anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
good.
so it's crazy because after we put him on the anti-inflammatory, he's still kind of favored it for a little while. But then, he'd be laying down, and then the next thing we know, he'll see something, he'll jump up and run around like it's nothing. So I don't know if it's it's like I told my wife. I wonder if he's doing it for a sympathy trip.
Well, I always say never underestimate the power of adrenaline, especially in a young dog, because I have dogs come to my office and they may be limping, not walking at home, and they come in and their tail's wagging and they're dancing around. So that once that adrenaline kicks in, boy, that limp can kind of fade away, and they may be thinking about the rabbit they're chasing. Or
Can you actually train your dog to limp? Give them seriously.
Oh, sure.
I would think that if they get the sympathy vote when they're limping, that they might actually do that.
Maybe I could go to Hollywood. They might need a limping dog, and we could get him a movie role.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
Just because you don't have time to read a book doesn't mean you can't enjoy stories about artists and groups that you love. To discover a whole new world of audiobooks and hear the stories that made the music, visit happylandaudio.com. That's happylandaudio.com.
This is
Animal Radio.
Okay, so, Joey, how much do you think it costs for you to keep your bird for its entire life? Gurney the bird, who's right now, 40 years old? 40 years old?
Yeah, somewhere in the ballpark, yeah.
How much have you spent up to 40, and how much do you expect to spend for the rest of her life, total?
You know what, I don't have a clue. I never even gave that any thought. You know what? I may be getting rid of her when I find out this number.
You would never.
Take a guess. Just take a wild guess.
50,000.
Wow, that would be on the high end. And
Very
actually,
high end.
Birds not one of the most expensive animals to own during a lifetime. According to this new survey, it would cost you approximately $11,000 for the entire life of your bird. Now, yes,
that was in damages that she did.
Yeah.
that was just in damages. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can't compare a parakeet with a cockatoo.
No, you certainly can't.
They don't. That's too broad.
This is very general, and I will tell you that if you go to our Facebook page, you will see this infographic, and at the bottom of the infographic, there's a link that will take you so that you can actually calculate your own animal, because you may be like us. We spend a little more on our animals. We give them a little more treats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk dogs for a second. Lori, how much do you think it costs for one of your bulldogs for an entire life?
Oh goodness, yeah.
Now, this is average.
Bulldog. Average bulldog. Okay, then I'll deduct about $5,000. I don't know. I guess probably $8,000
for an entire lifetime.
That's what I was guessing, about 8,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Is that off?
How much do you think your dog costs?
For its entire
lifetime, Doc. And you should probably have a fairly accurate guess, I would think, because you're a...
Put her on the spot.
Well, you're a vet, and you know that...
Okay, but it's hard for me to calculate because there's the inherent I don't spend money on my pet's medical care. I've spent, one of my former dogs, I've spent, easily $5,000 on her in the last few years with a specialist. Even though I don't spend money on the routine stuff because I do it myself or my husband does it, there's still that other type. I have no idea. I can tell you I spend more on my dog's daycare than I do on my house cleaners. So,
wow.
If that means anything per month, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You want to take a stab or a guess?
Just a
wild guess.
Let's just. I can't even. I'm going to say probably 60,000.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That is very off. In fact, your average dog, and this is average again, will cost you between $23,000 and $25,000 for their entire lifetime.
Wow. We are way off.
Wow.
That's 3 times more.
Wow.
You know what? I think it all goes to show that we just are really clueless, that we just keep doing it and doing it. And it's not until we really stop and think and go,
I don't want to add it up.
Now, I have a real dome scratcher for you. I'm looking at this list here. It includes dogs, cats, goldfish, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, tortoises, lizards, birds, and chickens. Chickens, by the way, $6,200 to $6,500 a year.
No,
for a lifetime.
Yeah.
But I'm a cat lover. I love my cats, and this particular survey says that it will be about $16,000 for a life of a cat. And I can tell you that I will actually probably spend more, like $25,000, $30,000. I'm thinking some of the medical fees.
I guess I've already spent $6,000 on my dog's legs.
Yes,
and she's only 8.
That is correct.
Yeah,
you got bionic dog is what you've got. And then they have on this survey, they have goldfish, which is interesting. Your average goldfish is about $1,000 to $1,500 for their lifetime.
But goldfish only last a couple months.
Rabbits about $8,600. Hamsters about $1,500. Guinea pigs about $5,000. And here's one for you. The thing that really is the dome scratcher is what topped the list of all of these animals.
The most expensive animal.
The most expensive animal is tortoises. Come in as the highest on this list.
The highest?
The highest.
I was going to say the lowest.
At about $33,000 to $35,000 in their entire lifetime.
What could you spend on a tortoise that would cost that
Well, they have
much?
a long life.
They do have a long life.
Yeah, but they eat vegetables and stuff. I mean, do you take your tortoise to the vet a lot? They hibernate, don't they?
And that's probably on the low end, according to what these...
That's shocking.
Why? Why would that be?
Well, I do know we have some clients at my office that they actually raise special species of tortoises, and they can cost thousands of dollars just to purchase the tortoise.
Oh.
So, if you're looking at what you pay for them, and then there might be, the veterinary care, especially exotic specialized veterinary care, can be quite expensive when we start talking about doing things like endoscopy, to spay or neuter a tortoise, or if they need diagnostics when these kind of critters don't tell us a whole lot. Sometimes we have to rely on more tests. So I can see that, but I am a little bit shocked it is the tortoise, I've got to say.
Yeah, I would not have expected that.
Looking at the breakdown on the tortoises, it looks like, first of all, insurance, because insurance is included in all of these. And insurance for a tortoise is fairly high. Their substrate, I guess they have to have some kind of substrate.
It depends on what they're living on, if they're out, because out here in Las Vegas, we have outdoor tortoises. So they're the desert tortoises. So they may live indoors, but most commonly they're outside. But you have to dig fencing, you have to dig burrows. So there's different types of environment changes you have to do, but it's not necessarily always buying something.
Well, I encourage listeners to go check this out at our Facebook page, and you can calculate your own animals, because some of us spoil our animals more. And I as I mentioned earlier, for my cats, I spend a lot more on their food and their litter. So you can figure out how much it costs. And then, if you're planning on getting an animal, certainly do the research first. We love them, and that's why we do this show, because we're just a little bit crazy about our animals, and we hope you are too, and we hope that you'll take them right now for a walk, get them out, spend some time, because the best present you can give your animals is your time. And we'll be back for more Animal Radio next week. Don't forget to download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ka-ching.
Always adopt, don't declaw.
This is Animal Radio
Network.